Okay, I think it's appropriate time to start. So I wanted to first off say thank you to the folks at acu-CONNECT for hosting this session for us, as well as wanted to say thank you for Avid Exchange for sponsoring this session as well. Now, Avid Exchange is a leading provider of accounts payable, AP automation software, and payment solutions for middle market businesses and their suppliers. Avid Exchange's software as a service based end-to-end software and payment platform digitizes and automates the AP workflows for more than 8,000 businesses and has made payments to more than 820,000 supplier customers of its buyers over the past 5 years. Thank you again for Avid Exchange for sponsoring the Acumatica Bookkeeping session today. So very nice to meet everybody today as well. Thank you for attending this session. My name is Jeff Altneu, the VP of Sales at 24/7 Digitize, the exclusive Acumatica bookkeeper. So now, what session wouldn't be a good session without an agenda, right? First off, I'd like to go over the importance of keeping your books in order in general. Second, I'd like to share some bookkeeping tasks or best practices on Acumatica that my team follows to service our customers. Next, I'd like to share a brief introduction to 24/7 Digitize and what we do and how we could help some of you. I'd like to cover that. And finally, we'll close the session out with some Q&A that you might have. So let's get down to why you're here in the first place, the importance of keeping your books in order on Acumatica. First off, I want to state that your average bookkeeper that has been using a legacy accounting tool for years most likely can't just pick up Acumatica and run with it. Using the analogy of working on a legacy tool like QuickBooks versus Acumatica, it's kind of like driving an automatic shift car versus a manual speed car. Both are cars, both have rules that driving a car must abide by, but driving a car with a clutch and moving gears is way more involved than just moving the gear shift to the D on your automatic transmission. There's a lot more work for the driver to do, but you're in complete control of all the parameters of that vehicle. You can feel the road, and quite frankly, it's more fun. More work to do than driving an automatic transmission car, yes, but also a lot more control as well. Same thing goes for users on Acumatica versus other legacy accounting tools. Here at 24/7 Digitize, we pride ourselves as the Acumatica bookkeeper and experts on this platform. And quite frankly, my team can figuratively drive any type of car, manual or automatic speeds. So let's get down to the basics and why do we need to maintain our books in the first place? Why is this so important? Well, taxes. Businesses must file their taxes at the end of each tax year, depending on your nature of business. With a bookkeeping process in place, you'll have financial information ready for tax season, and your tax person shouldn't be breathing down your neck for this information. Organization. The last-minute stresses of trying to find a crucial piece of business can lead to missed deadlines and some small errors creeping through. Businesses really can't afford to make mistakes, and bookkeeping can help with this. Business targets. Every business wants to grow, but sometimes poor financial records can stop that from happening at the speed that they want. So with no accurate number or data to analyze, it's not easy to set yourself up with growth goals. So staying on top of your books and keeping regular financial records can help map out your business goals and accurately achieve growth. Peace of mind. Unorganized books and tax deadlines can both contribute to plenty of stress and panic. When your books are complete and tidy, they won't be keeping you up at night. Your mind will be at ease, and you can focus on other facets of the business. So now that we established why it's important to keep your books in order, please ask yourself this: are your books perfectly in order on Acumatica? Now, during this session, you'll learn a few basic tasks or best practices that my team uses to help our Acumatica bookkeeping clients during their deployments. For context, these identified that I shared today are only a fraction of other tasks to consider when rolling out your Acumatica deployment. I understand that every company has different needs And with different operational tasks and different challenges, the system limited on time today, we're going to discuss a few as well. So the few that we're going to discuss today is accounts receivable, accounts payable, your general ledger. Now, general ledger, it's really important to keep it clean, and it's used to record all the company's transactions. The GL is a set number of accounts a business uses to keep track of its financial transactions and to help prepare financial reports. Cash management, where your finances are involved with the collections, handling, and usage of cash. And finally, inventory. Assuming you're a trading or manufacturing business, this is what you procure and produce to sell. So starting out with accounts receivable, or the cash you must collect on your sales, or any type of non-trade cash you're expecting to collect. First point is about checking the transactions. Now, we need to check these at least weekly so you're current. If you do this weekly, then the lag time you'll have is just the past week. And if there's any errors, you can quickly identify and fix them. From a time perspective, you're only back 1 week versus 3 months back or more. The best practice for various transactions on hold, you need to identify reasons why transactions are on hold to the appropriate action in the first place, including customer statement reconsolidations at periodic intervals to ensure that you are estimating your cash flow, your cash inflows accurately. This is our recommendation. A negative balance or more credit than debt. This is usually for the customer who has paid for the product or service in advance, while the invoice for the product or service has not been accounted for yet. It could be as well as the product has not been shipped, or services have not been rendered, or the accounting entities are yet to be posted. Check all negative balances and identify the reasons, whether it's in advance or you shipped a product but have not invoiced yet. As an example, we're doing cleanup for a customer who has closed to a $500,000 buildup over the last year. We are covering almost an 18-month period where there's significant buildup on AR while products have been shipped but not accounted for, which also means that they have not recorded any sales accurately. We are working with them to help clean up their balance for them. Best practice is to review the negative balance on a weekly basis and to identify any reasons, and follow up on any reconsolidations needed internally within your shipping and accounting departments or with the customer. For shipping that has not happened, you want to check for back orders, identify what it is, and update the customer and respective departments internally. Next, we want to confirm your receipts. You receive cash. Confirming your receipts can help you from a cash budgeting perspective, kind of like an agent report. You will have insights on what you will get in cash. Net 30, it's 30 days. Net 60, it's 60 days, and so on. This is a best practice that will help you manage and plan expenditure from your intake. Next, we want to check the aging report. Now, this is very critical. Let's say that there's an outstanding balance to collect. You follow up with the customer, and then you're reducing the lead time in terms of the collected cash. This is an advantage of reviewing your aging report. This report is simply a listing stating that this customer is due on this date and that customer is due on that date, etc. This will help you plan the cash budget. What you have received, what you haven't received is very critical to know. It also helps you identify any stickiness to the account. If you need to put credit or cut credit due to non-payment, then you need to tell your finance team to cut the credit on the account. No products or services released until you get the money. And now, a best practice is when you review the aging report is to identify customers on a particular age. Let's say that you have a customer to pay you X amount of dollars on the 15th of each month. And 3 days from now, when you look at the aging report, it will show on the 18th that it's 3 days old of that balance. So the three options you have to recover that funds is, number one, you could contact the customer and follow up with the customer. Number two is that you cannot ship further until on credit until payments received or cash budget. Or number three, you take actions and not give further supplies on credit. Lastly, document attachment, getting the right document. It's a best practice to validate the accuracy of the transaction in the book of accounts. It's also very important to manage the documents within Acumatica for future reference or an audit trail. The key here is making sure you attach the right or correct document. All important tasks for AR. Very important to mention too that the strength of a company's AR can be analyzed with the AR turnover ratio or days sales outstanding. A real life example is where a company has shipped the product but not yet released the payments against the invoices, and there's an AR backlog of over 600 transactions in a calendar year. And another real example is where a company that hasn't been posting AR transactions for the last 7 months. That means that they don't know how much cash they have. Technically, they're just paying their bills and receiving money, but there's no reconciliation activity on the books because they haven't been updated. So their bank might be showing a higher balance because they received that cash in the bank and not recorded it on the books. So like AR, AP as well, your purchases or any types of bills that you're expecting, very similar tasks to AR, but for vendors and suppliers of goods and services received that have not been paid for yet. Checking transactions. You want to check transactions again. So this is just as important. It needs to be completed at least weekly so you're current. And like AR, it's a best practice to do this weekly. Then the lag that you have is just a week, and any errors that you can fix correctly will be fixed quickly. From a time perspective, like AR, you're back only 1 week versus it could be months. You also want to check the transactions on hold. Have you received the goods? Any incomplete transactions on hold should review on a weekly basis and identify reasons why they're on hold. You want to check to see if there's any valid reasons. If there are any invalid reasons, you need to make sure that you're doing the account statement verification with the vendor on a priority basis. Now, this will also eliminate the duplication of entries. Next, we have the AP agent report. As a best practice, this will help you plan your cash outflow better for budgeting purposes as to which vendors need to get paid and on what day. This also may help in terms of discounts as well. Let's say that you have a bill due net 30, and if you pay today, you might get a discount. You might want to exercise that discount and get the cash earlier. Next, we have negative balance check. You have paid the vendor in advance for the product. As far as the best practice, this will check any vendor under debit, balance due, to advance payments or incorrect postings like incorrect vendor, incorrect amount, etc. This should be completed at least monthly, and you don't want to pay any deleted or voided bills. So this could result into overpaying where your money is sitting elsewhere. Let's say that there's a negative balance laying in for 30 days. Why did I pay early? What is the shipping time? What's the lead time? What is the agreed terms in the PO? All these are good questions to ask yourself. Or once received the product and service, but not have been accounted. Another question to review. Once reviewed, you will get to know if you need to follow up with the vendor or not. Lastly, we have document attachment. This is the best practice to validate the accuracy of the transaction in the book of accounts. It's also very important to manage documents within Acumatica for future reference or an audit trail. Again, the key here is making sure you attach the right or correct document. All important tasks for AP. Wanted to also mention that a strategy to improve cash flow is one where management may choose to pay its outstanding bills earlier than the due date for a small discount and improve their cash flow. A real life example is where a company has a lot of suppliers, but it's difficult for them to sort and organize these transactions monthly. And if you do not pay the vendors on time, it may negatively affect their ratings with any credit agencies. Finally, we have general ledger, cash management, and inventory to consider when promoting Acumatica's best practices. Now, the general ledger, it's pretty basic, but it's the closing financial period And that's a very important aspect to know. If it's not closed on time, there's a chance of misleading financial data during that particular year or period. As a best practice on the journal entries, it's also very important to check the supporting documents for a particular journal entry. By doing so, this will help find accuracy in the transactions. Cash management. The best practice is to check these transactions weekly. You also may want to check incomplete transactions weekly as well. If you do this practice weekly, you'll know what the real cash balance really is. So you can do your cash balance budgets more effectively, thereby making your payments on time and vendors, payments on time with your vendors. And if you need to follow up with a customer or receive cash or money, you can. Last, we have inventory. What products are moving, what's not moving, your stock levels, etc. Best practice is to check the inventory for sales to help you plan the future of the business. You ordered some goods, you collected funds from the customers, you haven't shipped the product yet, you aren't going to get your money in. Keeping inventory updated will help you understand what products have moved, what have not moved, and what will give you insights in the business. Let's say that you have 100 products and 3 products are super fast moving, but there's a downward trend on those 3 products over time. It will help you review your sales strategy, in turn procurement strategy as well. That will give you a forecast to see what to procure in the future and align with your business objectives, all planning for the future sales. Aging of inventory is something to consider as well, as this helps you underline if there's any inventory lying in the warehouse without moving. Now, granted, I've shared with you a few tests today that you should consider when deploying your Acumatica in your environment. There's a lot more and ongoing tests to consider as well. Now, depending on your goals, needs, and operational environments, you might want to include additional tests such as currency conversion, your sales orders, your POs, your manufacturing, if that's part of your business plan, any type of project accounting, time cards, expense management transactions, any field service transactions, and system integrations, BigCommerce, Shopify, and Adobe as examples, plus very, very more. However, having these tasks completed the correct way is needed to run your Acumatica deployment, thereby enabling you with powerful information and real-time business decision-making. So please ask yourself, are your books in order on Acumatica? Now, you've seen some of bookkeeping best practices on Acumatica. You also might want to relook into your internal procedures and current processes to see if they're being followed the correct way. So why outsource bookkeeping in the first place? Well, first off, it's more cost effective for any business budget. A company that offers a service like this, like 24/7 Digitize, has the knowledge and the skill set to help you with the recordings of your books, and we do. As my team is trained and certified on Acumatica Open University with 175 hours of training. Lastly, in-house efficiency. You can focus on other parts of the business to help support that growth. So what exactly does 24/7 Digitize do? In essence, we do everything that most business leaders don't wish to do. By focusing on their growth and sales, there's a fair amount of SMBs that struggle with their accounting or back office or non-core business processes, activities, stuff that they really have to do. We at 24/7 Digitize, we eliminate these stresses for our customers so that businesses can focus on really what matters, and that's growing their business. 24/7 Digitize, we are a US-based company out of Chicago. I'm out of Melbourne, Florida, the Space Coast. With offices around the world, we have 500 plus team members that support our services. Earlier this year, we rebranded into 24/7 Digitize with 16 years plus experience in business. Our specialty includes a wide array of services, including Acumatica Bookkeeping and data management projects. I can tell you that from personal experience when speaking to some folks in the Acumatica community, customers, partners, ISVs at the Acumatica Summit in Las Vegas this past January, as well as the AUG Summit in Atlanta earlier this week, new companies that use Acumatica and even some veteran companies on Acumatica, I'm hearing that maintaining their books is a real challenge that some are facing today. And 24/7 Digitize, we are here and answered that call. As an example, in a post-COVID world where employees get trained on a tool and shortly after receiving that training, they move on to another company, like what we saw in the Great Resignation, we recognize these changes and have seen these scenarios and honestly just want to help those companies in need that are having these challenges on Acumatica to help them make the most out of their investment. Now, in addition to Acumatica Bookkeeping, here's a more detailed views of the services that we can help out with as well. First off, we are industry agnostic. We handle all the dirty work that you don't want to. Data management projects like data entry, capture, processing for general business, healthcare, real estate, and e-commerce. As an example, in general business, we offer data cleansing, such as removing duplicate and irrelevant data, filter unwanted outliers, and verification and validation of the data. Data enrichment services, such as extracting data from the web, social media, and any web portals, then organizing it to your specifications. In e-commerce, we have worked with lots of e-commerce companies and helped them with data management projects such as product catalog services, catalog indexing, product information management and updating catalogs, product management, data management products such as product data cleansing and classification, order processing, and refund processing. And for the folks that work in or with real estate companies, we can help manage all types of data relevant to your real estate business, such as database creation, database extraction, property listings, and commercial valuation details. Acumatica Bookkeeping. I want to stress that we are not an Acumatica VAR, whereas they sell, implement, and train on Acumatica. We can help you after you've gone live on Acumatica or post-implementation. Design and marketing. Any type of branding or graphic design projects such as web design, document, the development works, and SEO and pay-per-click. Customer support in terms of chat and email support. Remote infrastructure management such as hosting support, server maintenance, and cloud maintenance. And finally, any type of custom projects, custom development projects such as PHP, .NET, and Java. Now, I want to thank you for your time today. Thank the folks at acu-CONNECT as well for this forum, and thank everybody who joined us. Please reach out to me should you have any questions. At 24/7 Digitize, we aren't just a bookkeeper, but the Acumatica bookkeeper. In conclusion, I like to make sure, I like to share that to make sure that your books are in order, a lot of ongoing tasks are needed. And during this session, I have shared some best practices to follow up during your Acumatica deployment. I hope you found this session helpful. And now I'll pause for any Q&A and unshare my screen. Okay. So as I mentioned, I don't have any more information as far as the slides go. So if anybody has questions, please feel free to reach out. We can answer the questions now, or we can do this as far as any questions. If you want to reach out on my email, this session will be shared as well. All right. I guess we don't have questions. Well, with that said, I'd like to thank you for your time again and learning more about 24/7 Digitize, the Acumatica bookkeeper. And we are here to help any folks that need help on their Acumatica deployment. We can do it. Thank you so much for joining us, and enjoy the rest of the acu-CONNECT show. And I hope to see everybody at the networking event later at 4:20 Eastern Time today.